It is poised to revolutionize cancer treatment. An experimental drug that targets pancreatic cancer is being fast-tracked for approval by the FDA. How promising is this drug's impact? Its testing is being called a watershed moment in cancer treatment. Joining me on the morning show, Dr. Bijoy Televala, an oncologist with Cancer Specialists of North Florida. Good morning. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Bruce, for having me here.
So, Doc, the drug is called daraxonrasib. It is shown that when used in concert with chemotherapy, it can double survival in patients with an advanced form of pancreatic cancer. Extraordinary, groundbreaking, in your opinion?
So, a couple of comments. The drug companies need to come up with easier names for us to pronounce as oncologists and for patients. But on a different note, yes, this is groundbreaking. Pancreatic cancer, for years, has been one of the most difficult cancers to treat. Resistant to various chemotherapies, does not respond to immunotherapy, and to have a drug which doubles the survival is fantastic news. Just to put things into perspective, there are 62,000 new cases of pancreatic cancer in the United States every year, and over 50,000 people die of it every year. So it has a very high mortality rate, unfortunately. The incidence of pancreatic cancer is 13 per 100,000 people.
That's pretty high. So the disease is usually found only after it's spread elsewhere in the body. And even with chemotherapy, a lot of patients don't live more than a year after diagnosis. Just 3% of patients diagnosed with metastatic pancreatic cancer are alive 5 years later, according to the American Cancer Society. Is this going to shift how you and other oncologists think about treating pancreatic cancer overall?
100%. It is going to change how we think about treating pancreatic cancer. So right now, the trials which have come out is in second line, which means after the first line of chemotherapy has stopped working. I suspect with its response rates and the way it works, and we'll discuss about that in the future, is we're going to move it in earlier lines. What we as oncologists like to see is on a curve, something which we call as a tail, which means that a large percent of people either being on the drug or because of the drug are cancer-free over 5 years. Do we have the data yet? Not yet. But it looks very promising, and we hope that this poor number of 3% can be improved. But what that number will be, only time will tell.
So without getting too technical, how does this drug work? How does it make a difference in the body?
So if you think about pancreatic cancer, 90% of them have a mutation called as a RAS mutation or a KRAS mutation. When I started my training 25 years ago, we were told that these KRAS mutations were, for lack of a better word, undruggable, which means we could not get a drug to fix these mutations. So this drug actually tries to stop the mutation from allowing the cancer cells to grow, and that's how it works. It's made by a company called as Revolution Medicine, which is a small biotech startup. And this shows the progress we have made over the last few decades. This is the era of precision medicine. So instead of taking chemotherapy, which, for a lack of a better word, targets the good, bad cells and has a lot of side effects, these precision medicine drugs are meant to target a particular mutation, changes in the cells, which potentially have a higher chance of working with a lower chance of toxicities.
And I understand that there are some side effects, but when you compare it to chemo, there are a lot less.
So, Bruce, you bring up a great point. Unfortunately, there's no free lunch in today's world. This drug is wonderful, but it has unique side effects. One of the ex-senators, Ben Casey, has been on this drug on a clinical trial, and he talks about his skin rash, the mouth sores, the diarrhea, the nail changes. So yes, it does not have the classical hair loss, severe risk of infections, but it does come with a price. And the price is unfortunately borne by the patient because some of them are very visible, like the skin rash. It's an acneiform rash, so some people say it feels like when they're back as teenagers, but it is painful and it is troublesome to some degree for the patients.
You mentioned Dr. Ben Sass, who, by the way, spent a short stint at the University of Florida. He's a U.S. senator. He was given a virtual death sentence, and he's outlived the prognosis by 3 or 4 months to this point. I know that cancer specialists are often a bit cynical about new drugs and the data that comes out. Is this the real deal? Does it have the potential to shift how you think about the treatment of pancreatic cancer?
I think so, it does. We have to still wait for more data. It's early data. But the way the drug works, 90% of pancreatic cancers have these RAS mutations. Will this drug fix it all? Probably not. But will it make a difference? 100%. And I suspect that this drug will form one of the backbones in treatments of pancreatic cancer going forward.
And I've got to tell you that I have total faith in this doctor because he is the one responsible for saving my life.
Thank you, Bruce.
Dr. Televala, thank you for being here.
I appreciate your kind words.